Alrighty, welcome back to Scouching's video room. Today I am really excited because we're going to take a look at one of my favorite prospects from the NHL draft just a couple of years ago in Oliver Moore, formerly of the Team USA National Development Program and now with the University of Minnesota. He is a Chicago Blackhawks pick. He's a draft selection I believe they were quite excited to land, and I am very excited that he is also a member of the Chicago Blackhawks, to say the least. If you're not familiar, what we do in this series is we take a one-game sample look at a prospect and see what they bring to the game, maybe some areas of potential improvement, and just take a casual but cross-sectional look at exactly what it is that a player brings to the game and might be able to bring to the NHL in the future. So really excited about this one. So let's get right into it. Oliver Moore is this guy here playing center, number 11, and let's see what we can find. This is going to be something that probably will be a theme, and in my opinion, I'd be surprised if it wasn't. So Moore is here, and the hallmark of Oliver Moore's game is his speed. Just watch how quickly he's able to generate some really good velocity with his crossovers on the exit here. This puck goes for an icing, but the amount of speed, in my opinion, and quickness that Moore has unlocks so many possibilities in his game here. Like, he's catching up to these guys. I know he doesn't obviously negate the icing or anything there, but I think that's a hint of maybe what's to come for him. Now, the flip side of when guys are really quick is, can they slow the game down and participate at more of a dynamic pace? And I think this little rush gives us a little bit of a taste of what Oliver Moore is capable of when the game isn't going at 100 miles an hour. So here, it's a bit of a soft, questionable offensive entry and possession here, but Moore has an entire pocket to play with, so it'll be interesting to see how he does here. He's not going to go diving into the corner, but he still is going to be a support option here if number 10 wins this interaction, maybe slaps the puck around the boards here. So he's in good position to make a play. He might have this cross seam idea, or he could go kick it back to his defenseman back there. But he also does something interesting as well, is, again, still in a bit of a pocket of space here. He just makes a little cut on his edges, cuts to the front of the net, and then again just makes another little pivot, and he's still square to the puck, ready to receive a pass and to get himself a quick scoring chance here if the puck ends up coming out to him in that play. It doesn't, but this is a guy who, yeah, he's really quick, but seeing the ability to also play positionally and look for offensive opportunity without needing to constantly be going 100% all the time is exactly, in my opinion, what guys like Moore need to learn how to do a lot more as time goes on. This isn't a great coverage here defensively. I think if I'm a coach here, I'd like Moore pivoting to be skating backwards, because it's just way too easy for this guy to just cut back across this way when Moore is heading this way, and number 91 here is moving this way, and this guy's moving this way. It just makes it a little too easy for 20 to get around him, and that's a pretty soft stick check. They go offside, so he gets away a little scot-free there. For a guy like Moore in that situation, I'd like him to flip around, get himself skating backwards, and maybe provide a bit of a better challenge. So again, good offensive instincts here from Moore, right? He's in a good spot here positionally to support what's going on in the corner. He doesn't knock the puck down here. Ideally, I think you would like him to, because it gives him a lot of options, but it gets knocked down at the blue line, and again, a few seconds later, still in open ice, not really challenged, ready to make a play in a scoring area, gets right to the far post, but then quickly cuts back out in front, again, in a pocket, unchallenged by this defender here. He's a scoring threat, and that pass is just a couple of feet away from being a quick one-touch shot on net there for Moore. So there's a lot going on here that so far I think is promising, but he hasn't really been rewarded to this point. So Oliver Moore gets scored on here, and I think you can trace this back to him, at least on a certain level. When you have guys who are so quick and so good at generating speed so quickly, it can really get you burned a little bit when you're looking and jumping into offense, and maybe there's a misplay or an unexpected turnover. So watch here. This is off the faceoff. Moore has his guy tied up in great spots, right? This is the kind of area where Moore would be hunting around and finding empty space, but Moore's tied up his man here. But here, he's gone. During this play, at some point, his brain went, we're going to be heading up ice here. And he's gone, right? And now he's created, basically by abandoning his man, a little 2-on-1 here, leaving his defenseman out to dry, and they managed to just bang one in here. Maybe the goaltender should have had that one, but that's not what we really care about here. So just watch the whole play. You just see Moore jumping in, looking for that rush. And, you know, if the puck did come to him, he's quarterbacking a heck of a play there for sure with all that speed. But that is a bit of a trade-off with these guys who are really, really speedy and especially centers who often look for a lot of offensive opportunity. This is the value of really good speed. So Moore is here at the defensive blue line. The puck is here, and you're just going to see it get rifled down the ice, and the goalie has to come out and get it. But Moore is on his own here, right? Moore manages to get past all of Michigan State's defenders. He's the only guy here basically making Trey Augustine here and net make a play of some kind and basically cutting off this entire area of the ice. Augustine does make a play in that area of the ice anyway, and it works out for him, but this is why I love guys like Moore, is their ability to jump into that offensive zone when they get that opportunity. Like, if you want to play dump and chase hockey, I'm all about it. I get it. But I think instead of big, heavy physical guys, you need guys like Moore who are quick and agile and can get behind opposing defensemen and carry a lot of momentum below the goal line and challenge guys deep in the offensive zone and try to generate turnovers. I think that's what Moore does really, really well. He almost did it there. So, I mean, hockey is often a game of trade-offs, but when I look at a guy like Moore, there has been a couple of moments here where the speed can be a bit of an issue, but once in a while, it just comes in handy to just make the game go way, way easier for you. And I think he's been showing really well in general in this game, outside of maybe a couple of isolated moments so far. So Moore is basically facing a wall of Michigan State guys here. And still, he finds a way to, the entry here pulls double coverage. And so you now have two Michigan State defensemen basically trying to box Moore out. Moore just waltzes his way right through them, gets the speed advantage, gets body positioning advantage here, and very nearly gets himself a scoring chance on net here. So, and then he keeps the puck hemmed in the offensive zone, right? Again, this whole shift is a huge reason why I love a guy like Moore, right? He's not the most skilled and dangly and fancy offensive guy in the world, but you win with guys like this, in my opinion. Just backing it up on the entry here. So he gets in behind the defenseman, nearly gets himself a scoring chance, gets his stick on the puck first, keeps it out at the point. Then he's back-checking, or forechecking, I should say, into the offensive zone, keeping the puck pinned in the offensive zone. Now you have an established offensive zone cycle. And here he goes maintaining, and yeah, so he loses possession there. You probably want him to get rid of the puck faster there, but he created a lot of this offensive zone cycle. Unfortunately, he was the reason it ended, but you still see the benefits of this guy, at least so far in this game, and what the possibilities are. He scores a goal here, and I've seen Oliver Moore do this many times over the years. Just enter the offensive zone, pop one on net quick, and that one just squeaked through. It's not the most amazing shot in the world, and I mean, you're probably not going to get a pass through this lane anyway. You've got multiple sticks, and you're carrying much more speed than Matt Wood is here. So, maybe you want a guy to sort of drive deeper into the offensive zone and push for, a better scoring chance. Maybe a drop into the corner, toss one out in front, and Matt Wood streaking in and receives it. But, I mean, he scored, so there's that. It counts. So this is something else that I really want to see out of guys like Moore. The criticism with him is he's a little bit small. Fair enough. I can't dispute that. He's not the biggest guy in the world. But if you're going to be a guy who plays up the middle of the ice and really wants to help out below the goal line and help out your defenseman, what he's going to do is just stay calm under pressure here, deep in the defensive zone. You're going to notice he's got his head up. He's scanning for options. He's protecting the puck well. He's got a wide stance. And so he gets knocked down to the ice, but gets himself back up, gets the possession of the puck, looks around. He's looking at multiple angles, looking for options, and then he manages to get a controlled defensive breakout or defensive zone breakout going. So really, really nice play there, in my opinion, from Moore. Just smart, calm defending that you need to see from smaller guys. Just that confidence to say, you know what, I'm going to try to resist this, get lower to the ice and brace myself a little better. That to me is something that you're going to have to see out of a guy like him. On this defensive breakout, for me, it's just a little more jam, and I think that there's going to be a perfectly passable player on defensive rushes here from Moore. So you'll note that he kind of doesn't pick up this man. They kind of enter double coverage on the offensive zone exit, and neither player on that play makes any kind of attempt to block possession of the puck. Then Moore again relinquishes possession to this player and just kind of floats into the middle of the ice and doesn't make nearly a hard enough defensive play there, and they gain the defensive zone, in my opinion, way too easily. So Moore, again, a couple of feet away from being in good scoring position here, but I'll just play this whole rush without stopping it. And so, yeah, he floats a little bit too far away from the man in transition, then drops off of him again. They now have offensive zone possession and get themselves a cycle going. So he has the right amount of pace and the willingness to back check and get involved, but it's like that extra 10% that can be a make or break for a coach in the NHL to trust you. So for me, that's a bit of a thing that I'd kind of like to see, gone over and dealt with a little bit better. I mean, he at least applied enough positional pressure to force a dump. So that's a step in the right direction, or a better result. But not the first time we've seen a play like that come from Moore defensively in this game. Here goes Moore again, right? So on the breakout, he makes a bit of a questionable pass, but it gets into the offensive zone, and he's right there, picks up the puck, causes a turnover in the offensive zone, and kicks it out to the blue line. This is kind of how I love my guys to play. This is how you kind of need to play. There's another one. Gains another bit of offensive zone possession, right? And there he is working off of pressure again. I think, again, there should have been a quicker decision. I'll back up. The first 8 seconds of this are great. Just maintaining himself in composure under pressure. Right there, you see the man here, right? You're already under a ton of pressure. Just rifle it out to your partner. You can kick it back out here. These guys can get out in front of the net. This guy can go to the net. You get a better scoring chance here. But turning into the boards and eating it under double coverage, then you need to get some help there. I mean, that just causes another cycle to end. I look at a guy like Oliver Moore's production level, and I just see maybe a little less than what I expect. But whenever I watch him, I see so many things going well for him and going the right direction that you kind of just have to go, well, what's missing? And that's the second time in this game, and we're over halfway through the game, that an offensive zone possession that Moore has gone out of his way to create and help maintain has died on his stick by overhandling and skating into the wall and eating the puck along the boards, which at his size and everything is just, it's not, especially when there are other options to mess around with, it's just not a successful strategy for him, at least in this game. This is super basic, but for a guy like Moore and the things that we've seen in this game that have been a bit questionable, this is what I want to see more of out of Moore. So just a quick one-touch pass here on the entry. He realizes he's under pressure, quickly recognizing that he has an option here to diffuse this oncoming pressure. Just a little tap. You see your option, execute it. Don't try to be the hero. In the NHL, I think that that's something that a guy like Moore is going to be needing to do a lot, especially under pressure like that in tough situations, rather than, trying to turn into the boards or create a gap on his own, especially under pressure. So seeing that, super, super beneficial long-term for me. Again, Moore is doing a great job here. And I mean, this is really good structure from Minnesota, right? So you've got a man in scoring position here while 71 gets down low below the goal line. If he just kicks that puck out in front of the net and 7 here doesn't get to it, and this guy in front, I think it's 14, misses the puck, you've got Oliver Moore waiting in the wings ready for a secondary option here. So they have a nice line in terms of a passing lane that could work for multiple reasons. They don't get the puck off, and I think Moore does a smart thing here again. All of Michigan State's pressure is kind of drifting out towards the blue line here, and this defenseman now could probably wait a couple of seconds while this deals with itself, and you've got Moore in the corner on his own. Moore doesn't end up getting the puck here. They end up getting a shot on net from the other point, which is fair, and Moore just goes to the net. But again, like this off-puck positioning stuff in the offensive zone, we're seeing in this whole series a lot of it with a lot of these high-end prospects off the puck in the offensive zone, and that's the kind of thing you need to do in order to find yourself in scoring position and get yourself some scoring chances. Moore hasn't had a ton here. I think he's been in position for a lot of scoring chances, but hasn't received any actual opportunities as much. But to see the pattern of this evolving and happening over and over in this game, I think is more promising in my opinion. You have the speed of Oliver Moore here on display. You've got this gap to this defenseman here, and he's going to get right through it, right? So this defenseman commits to this side of the ice a little bit too much. Moore just uses his speed and carries it deep down below the goal line. Pressures Trey Augustine here. He makes this play a lot tougher for Augustine and removes number 2 here as an easy option for an outlet here. Just gets involved, causes a turnover, and they get the puck into the middle of the ice. Nothing comes of it, and that's another great neutral zone stick check. The puck comes out to the neutral zone. Oliver Moore is already in really good position here to do something, and he just lifts the stick. They get the puck back. This is what I love to see in the game. This is just how I love to see young players play, is this 200-foot impact, selfless, make life easier for your teammates style of hockey, and you'll get your chances. You'll get your opportunities. You'll be able to find your way around the offensive zone and make something happen, and you'll prevent opportunities in your own end, right? And no matter how fast or how physical the game or opponents might be, a guy like Moore with the speed and the intensity and the work rate, they'll be able to at least challenge pretty much anybody, and it's why I think these guys are so valuable, right? I mean, obviously it would be ideal if Oliver Moore were playing like this and he were 6'4" and 240 pounds, but I would rather have him involved in a lot of play, trying to cause things to happen and tying up sticks and tying everything up and just getting involved and making things happen. That's another pass out into a slot area that nobody was on the receiving end of, but I think that's the fourth or fifth one of the game so far for Moore, which in my tracking at 5-on-5 is quite good. So, there's a lot of really good ingredients with Moore in this game that I've seen so far, and I think we're seeing a lot of the benefits and a lot of the reasons why this kind of does work. That wasn't a great pass here, so again, we've seen this with other players in the draft, and I think I might, if this is a pattern, it's the first time I've seen this happen, but in this game, it's the first time, and if this is a pattern, so you've got Moore wide open, right? Like, this is the easiest, maybe you go with this passing lane, but this defenseman could wait for 29 on Michigan to get out of the way. Regardless, they managed to get the puck to Moore here, and I think what we've seen a lot watching these guys over the last months that we're doing this is, so here's Moore with the puck. Usually, I think it's a more high-end modern play to sort of cut back, stop up. You've got all these guys, momentum taking them backwards. So if you stop up, you now have a much easier way to get the puck across the ice into more open space to the guys you're skating with. But he just kind of sends it right into the feet or into this lane that is definitely really clogged up with Michigan State players. We see guys like Berkeley Catton do that significantly more often, of that cutback, that stop up, let guys carry their momentum in the wrong direction, create a bit of a lane, and move pucks in the offensive direction. So obviously that was the first time I've seen that happen with Moore in this game, so we'll see if it happens multiple times, but you don't want to be coughing the puck up like that in the neutral zone when you have a bunch of open ice like that you could maybe play with. I mean, this is a bit of like a cousin of what we just talked about here, so Moore is in really good position here to receive a pass. He's got a bit of a lane to work with here. So again, using that speed, that acceleration, he just jumps into that gap with the puck, pulls it to the right side of his body on his weak side. He's a left-hand shot, so he pulls it to the right side of his body and just shovels a pass out to the open man. If he had kept this on his strong side, this is very likely a stick check or maybe a defensive zone turnover against number 13 here, but he keeps it on his offhand, shovels it up into the neutral zone, and they get out of the defensive end. He goes about 8 miles offside on that, but again, that's another bit of an issue sometimes with guys who are quicker than their line mates. Moore just received a pass here, and he trips over himself and causes a turnover in the neutral zone. The puck's coming the other way. Not ideal. Probably not a very common thing you see at this level. It's kind of goofy. You don't want to see your centers blowing a tire in the neutral zone and causing turnovers and everything, but again, with guys like this, he's not in the picture here, right? But he certainly enters the picture very quickly and prevents that cycle from being created for Michigan State. They're coming the other way and they get a scoring chance. So sometimes you give and you take. Always things to work on, but there are definitely things I love about this guy. So this is a weak pass here from number 8 on defense for Michigan State. And Oliver Moore, again, you would think 13 here and Moore are going to be dancing partners in the defensive zone here. But Moore just takes a couple of steps, gains a bit of space on him, uses his body, creates separation from the puck, and wins that stick check battle. The work rate and the willingness to just chip in and help line mates and try to gain possession that way. There's another offensive zone pickoff from Moore, right? Like, there's a lot of things going in the right direction for him, and that's really what I love about guys like him. When things are going in the right direction a lot more than the wrong one for a guy like Moore. Not creating a whole lot of pure offense, but he's setting the stage for a lot of offense. Just pinning their opponent in their zone, especially in a game you're losing 7-3, right? Like, you gotta push back, and I think Moore does a really good job of that regardless of what the score is. He always has, every time I've seen him play. This is just a beautiful little move here from Moore to create an offensive or a defensive zone exit. So Moore is here in his own end. Obviously, you've got the entire chasm here to play with and mess around in. but he faces some quick pressure from this guy, and he just makes this player look a little silly, pops the puck between his legs, wins the race to the loose puck, and he's off into the races into the offensive zone. This is something we've talked about in previous videos where I don't like this type of offensive rush where you just have a guy who has the puck on his own stick and is on his own under pressure in this situation. Like if I'm him or if I'm coaching him, I'm thinking maybe you try to flip the puck into this area and get this guy entering towards the net, because this shot attempt here through a bit of traffic. I know he scored on something like this earlier, but the odds of this going in are very, very small. And the odds of something like this on a backhand saucer pass or something and having this guy break to the net for a better scoring chance, especially when Moore has 3 guys on him, it's just a low percentage play. So this is kind of why when I track data, I look at shot locations, and why when I look at offensive players, I kind of look at plays like that and go, yeah, you don't see that work in the NHL very often, but you see those high-end offensive players find those other lanes and those other players that are in more threatening positions and making the opportunity or taking the opportunity to get the puck to them and create something out of it. So again, on this offensive rush, as the game comes to an end, you'll see Moore just flip the puck and try to get through the opponent. And this is what I mean. Like if you're going to play chip and chase, this is the right idea. He obviously isn't winning the body positioning battle to that specific loose puck, but again, having guys like that who can dump the puck in and carry their momentum deep into the offensive zone and try to pin their opponent back there is very, very valuable to me. And that's the end of the game. So in a lot of ways, this is a lot of what I expected about Oliver Moore to this point. I think if I am coaching him, I think there's a lot you can chew on and work on to make him a more effective offensive player. But I think there was a lot of good ingredients here, and I think that it's pretty obvious through a lot of this tape that in the NHL, a guy like Oliver Moore, he might not get the opportunities he probably should because he's not very big, and his style of forechecking and everything is very speed and stick checking oriented rather than pinning guys to the boards, hitting guys, and this more physical side that I think a lot of people look for in the NHL. But I think he's just as, if not more effective as players that play that way, with how he's able to dump and chase on his own, how he's able to hunt pucks in the offensive zone, create quick turnovers in the defensive zone, rush pucks through the neutral zone. We saw that time and time and time again in this game. He came away with a goal, which is great. It was a game where it was 9-3. And the only time he got scored on was the one we went over. And so it's not like I was hiding opportunities or times at 5-on-5 when Moore got scored on a bunch of times in this game and got absolutely run over. His line generally controlled a lot of the possession in this game, even though they got outshot and completely blown out of the water. And I think a lot of that comes down to his intensity level and his speed and his stick checking ability. When I look at the guys he's playing with, I think it's Matt Wood on his wing, and I feel like that just hasn't been a very good match in this one. Wood has not really been much of a distributor for him. He hasn't really been on the receiving end of many scoring chances for Moore. Moore tries to hit him with passes in transition, and it bounces through Wood's stick or just bounces off his hands, or it's not settled particularly well. Part of that might be on Moore, but also it's just, again, the pattern seems to be there where Moore is cooking a lot and there's just not much on the receiving end in aggregate. But at the end of the day, I thought that game was very promising. Again, with Moore, I love this guy. I think this is the type of player that elevates other players on his line and makes their lives easier. And I think, if you have guys who you have a really good structure and you have really good possession players and you have guys who know they go to the net and try to sort of cause havoc around the net, and that a guy like Moore is going to try to get the puck there and everything, you could have a really successful offensive player here. I think he's a player who almost on every puck touch, unless he has space or an advantageous body positioning scenario, he's going to need to distribute and move the puck really quickly and sort of really do a good job making those passes really quickly to avoid that oncoming pressure. He turned into the boards a couple of times on this game and killed possession in the offensive zone for his team. Yeah, he did the job to sort of get more involved and cause those turnovers and gain the puck back, but you don't want to see guys who establish, I guess what I'm saying is like it undershoots what his potential could be. He's doing so many good things that you hate to see at the end of that possession him make a decision where he looks off a line mate or looks off a potential just scoring opportunity, creating play, and eats the puck along the boards and loses possession of the puck. So with Moore, I think there's a lot to love about this player still. I mean, he's a player I had very, very high on my board. He's a player who I felt was undervalued, and I think there was a lot to love about this guy. And I think that there is a learning process, I think, to get him to be as good as he could be in the NHL. I think he is a player who I would love to coach and bring along. And I think the ceiling is humongous with this guy's style of play. And I think that was exemplified in a lot of areas in this game, right? The last thing I'll say is my philosophy really revolves around the balance of the game, right? Do you have guys on your team who can put in the work, put in the effort, and play with enough speed and tenacity to make life miserable for your opponents, as miserable as possible, while also being able to put the puck in an advantageous position for you in the offensive zone? So whether it's dump and chase or carrying through the neutral zone and just trying to gain body positioning and gain leverage, keeping pucks hemmed in the offensive zone, those are the types of players that I love. And the offensive creation you can build around that is you could make it more tactical, have guys in good position to receive passes along the boards or go to the net, and your dump and chase style guy like Moore kind of knows, okay, if I manage to get the puck and slap it out into scoring areas, I know a guy's going to be there to at least try to get something going from there. You can work with those players a lot, in my opinion. And I think Moore did a really good job in this game showcasing a lot of that. So for the purposes of the power ranking, I'm going to be dumping him in at number 5. So I don't know if I liked his performance as much as Consta Hellenius. I'd say they were roughly equivalent, but Hellenius being in the AHL, I think matters a little bit more, and I think he was making better decisions with the puck and playing with a better feel for the game. But what Moore brings to the table, I think, is very, very projectable and was really impressive in a lot of ways. And I think you can work with him more to make him even better. I still feel like guys like Buyum, Demidov, and Parekh are kind of in a class of their own based on the games that we've watched in this series. But in terms of relative to guys like Sam Dickinson and Easton Cowan, Nikita Artemonov, Frank Nazar, I feel like he showed better in this game than those guys. And I hope you agree. If you didn't, definitely let me know in the comments and maybe posit why. But I mean, I love this kid. I think he's a great player. Like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I hope you liked the video. I definitely enjoyed watching Oliver Moore. I always do. And if you really love what we do, you can definitely support the channel over at Scouching.ca with a subscription where you'll get access to our Discord server, as well as plenty of cool perks like data tables for drafted and undrafted prospects, and plenty of cool data visualization tools that we've just updated as well. So you can check that out over there. Thank you very much for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.